Hello. Just as a brief introduction, I am Hadi Paul Reinhertz, or Paul Hadi Reinhertz, depending on whether you want to emphasize my birth name or the name given to me by one of my spiritual mentors. And it is November 12th, 2024. I've decided to share something for people who are interested in the inner teaching of Tai Chi. Tai Chi Chuan, if we want to give it its full name. The inner teaching being that which goes beyond the mere physical movement. It references Yi, Qi, and Shen. Yi, the imaginative capacity of our consciousness. Qi, our intrinsic energy. And Shen, that which is activated or created by, but probably better activated by the harmonizing of Yi and Qi. So Yi is that in our consciousness which is able to create and thereby activate, create a picture, create an illustration, create a visualization, whatever word you want to use as a concept, and to harmonize that with the breath. And by harmonizing that with the breath, to bring a greater sense of Qi into being, make Qi a reality. So we are working to make our inner energy a reality, because like the blood surging in our veins, we're not aware of it, are we? Like the breath in our lungs or the oxygen which goes into every cell, it's underneath our awareness. However, when we turn our attention and we turn our capacity to it, we can give it a reality. I'm doing that now. As I inhale and exhale, I feel the pulsing of Qi. As I inhale, it's as though there is a compression on my skin for one manifestation. As I exhale, it's an expansion. But we use our own pictures. And some of these pictures, I think, can be activated by some of the metaphors of the Taoist tradition. And so I have decided I want to read into this and post it up online. Some parts from Immortal Sisters, The Secret Teachings of Taoist Women. It's about spiritual alchemy for women. However, it equally applies to men. It may or may not be true that there's a difference between alchemizing and process between male and female, or if that was simply something that the ancients decided was necessary because there is a physiological difference between men and women, obviously. However, the inner processes of Qi and manifesting Qi I have to think must be the same thing. But I'm not a scholar of the Taoist way, so I can't really present any more of an argument or any more of a difference of opinion, other than working from my own intuition and my 50 plus years of practice of Tai Chi and studying some texts, but also how it has worked for me. I think that's what's really important for us. How does it work for us? How does it work to bring Qi into a beingness in terms of our capacity to feel it, our capacity to sense it? And I know that there are some adepts who can move people with their energy. There are adepts who can lay hands and you can feel the vibration of their chi and other things. I'm not at that stage. That takes a deep commitment, much deeper than my own commitment, perhaps. However, I'm going on and on. This Immortal Sisters, Secret Teachings of Taoist Women was translated and edited by Thomas Cleary, who is one of the authors that I have followed over the years in terms of studying Chinese philosophies. And I find that Thomas Cleary speaks to me. There's many more. I've read other people. However, I like his clarity. I have heard or I have read that his translations are accurate and so forth. There's some things that I consider to be a Bible for me, and this is one of them, or he is one of the authors of the Bible. Just as a way of mentioning, I've read other books that address some of the things that I'm gonna read about. But this too has been a Bible for me. Fundamentals of Tai Chi Chuan. Fundamentals of Tai Chi Chuan by Professor Shen Huang, Huang. I highly recommend it if you want to do readings. It's compendious. It addresses all of the things that are associated with Tai Chi. However, let me turn to this text here. This is a verse by the female Taoist practitioner Sun Buer. It illustrates what it is that I want to address here for people who are interested in the inner teachings. The title is Projecting the Spirit. There is a body outside the body, which has nothing to do with anything produced by magical arts. Making this aware energy completely pervasive is the living, active, unified, original spirit. The bright moon congeals the gold liquid. Blue lotus refines jade reality. When you've cooked the marrow of the sun and moon, the pearl is so bright, you don't worry about poverty. And let me read to you a little bit of a commentary from a Taoist, Chen Ying Ning. This is in the book. And Chen wrote, if I don't comment on this statement by Sun Buer at all, there may seem to be something missing. Whereas if I tried to comment line by line, I wouldn't know where to begin. All I can do is draw on some sayings of wise people of the past to see what the experience of projecting the spirit is like. After projecting the spirit, there is still work. If you want to know the details, then please make a broad study of the alchemical classics. Participate truly in the practice and realize genuine understanding. When we are practicing Tai Chi Chuan, one of the axioms is one part moves, all parts move. In general, not in general, but totally, all of the mentors that I have had, they reference the physical body. One part moves, all parts move. They didn't say anything about the inner, this spirit body, so to speak, chi body, that which surrounds the fleshy body and permeates it. That part has to move also. That part moves by the power of our yi, by the power of our ability to create this light body that Sun Buer is talking about. create isn't exactly the right word. Activate is the better word. Activate it because it's there. That body is there. Like any muscle, it can be made to grow. Just like we can go to a gym and do weightlifting, we can increase our muscle mass and our muscle strength. Same thing with the chi body. That's why, amongst other things, for people who are advanced practitioners, we talk about drawing in through the solar plexus, the universal chi, bringing it into our, replenishing our natal chi that we expend as we go through life. And in this way, we are strengthening, activating, and growing our chi body. Now let's turn to the appendix here. Here's something that Thomas Cleary wrote. This short treatise on Taoist meditation for women was written for one Cao Zhenji, a married woman described as more learned and knowledgeable than men, in the year 1899. This is what's going to follow this. This is Thomas Cleary writing. The distinction made between men and women in ordinary Taoist practice is part of the science of life and has to do with the physiological difference between the sexes. As seen in the work of Sun Bu'er, the feminine Tao of life includes the practice of deliberate and harmonious menopause as part of mastery over the physical body. It's a step that one may or may not want to take. In the practice with men, it has to do with withholding the sperm. So there is that difference. In the present treatise, it will be seen that the primary distinction made is in the location of the attention when generating psychosomatic energy to circulate through the body. Men ordinarily use the lower abdomen. That is the lower dantian, 2 fingers below the navel. But this is proscribed for women who are to use the sternum instead. The sternum instead, that is the middle dantian. Notice they haven't said anything about the upper dantian. That's a different story. The inner circulation of psychosomatic energy is commonly used for health and well-being, but misapplication of the collection procedure is universally held to be harmful. Those familiar with present-day Zen cults of Japanese origin will immediately notice in the following text the distinction made between Taoist practice for females and males in terms of the location of the attention in beginning sitting meditation. Beginning sitting meditation. One of the unfortunate results of the uncritical importation of deteriorated forms of Japanese Zen Buddhism into Western countries, where a relatively large number of women attempt to practice Zen, is that many women have been taught to sit with the attention in the lower abdomen, a method Taoists claim is harmful to females. Point of view. It is, in fact, nearly impossible to find any indication of this practice in authentic traditional Chan or Zen texts of China or Japan. It was popularized by the famous 18th century Zen teacher Hakuin, but as part of a therapeutic regimen, as it had been in the comprehensive Chinese school of Tai Buddhism, from which Chan partly derived. There is no evidence, furthermore, of Hakuin having taught any of his female students to keep their attention in the abdomen as a regular practice, but many later Zen teachers seem to have made it a standard procedure for everyone, regardless of other conditions. So, perhaps this distortion was fostered by the popularity of Zen among males of the samurai caste and later by association of Zen with martial arts, in which the focus of attention in the lower abdomen has a special function. Balance, lower abdomen, balance, that spot from which all movement should begin. One part moves, all parts move, etc., etc. In martial arts, of course, the motion of the practitioner has the effect of rapidly redistributing the accumulation of energy and thus offsetting the attendant dangers of this technique. Rapidly redistributing the accumulation of energy. So in martial arts, lower dantian, abdomen, abdominal breathing, etc., etc., rapid redistribution of energy throughout the body. According to the Taoist science of life, focus of attention on any part of the body involves potential danger and should not be done too long or too intensely. Specific dangers accompany attention on the lower abdomen in females and attention on points in the head in both females and males. Now, maybe there's a danger there. Maybe that's why it's not mentioned. That doesn't mean that that energy spot does not exist. So we have to apply our common sense and know when to use specific spots, when to use specific breathing. Specific dangers accompany attention on the lower abdomen in females and attention on points in the head in both females and males. In Japan, the deterioration of the original system of which concentration on certain physical locations forms a part is evidenced in the use of the term tanden, elixir field, exclusively for the lower abdomen. The original Taoist system defines 3 elixir fields, not just one. The lower abdomen is but one of these, called in Taoism the lower elixir field. Again, it might be theorized that the fragmentation and oversimplification of this system in Japan might have been due to centuries of dominance of male military associations with Zen. The present treatise on spiritual alchemy for women also makes it clear that this type of exercise is done only in the beginning of practice, until a certain effect is realized. Here again, Zen cults of Japanese derivation that have people repeat the same exercise, particularly the exercises of placing the attention in the abdomen or in the breath, over and over again for years on end, present clear evidence of stultifying deterioration. The etiology and specific symptoms of the deleterious effects of such practices among modern devotees of Zen or Taoist sitting and similar disciplines are not necessarily self-evident to either prescribers or practitioners because of the very limitations of the systems that prescribe these practices indiscriminately. In view of this, and in consideration of the benefits of less obsessive and more technically well-informed procedures, this text on feminine Taoist practice may be considered of special importance for the many women of today who are attempting to use interior meditation methods to enhance consciousness and life. And I feel that it's equally applicable. Most of this, except for a few small points, equally applicable for men, because once the process is started, the process of alchemy and Tai Chi practice, men and women benefit in the same way. Okay, here is the treatise on spiritual alchemy for women, which was written in 1899. In the science of essence and life, men and women are the same. There is no discrimination. In sum, what is important is perfect sincerity and profound single-mindedness. An ancient document says, only perfect sincerity in the world is capable of ruling. A classic says, the perfection of single-mindedness is that whereby one may heed the order of life. In general, what is most essential at the beginning of this study is self-refinement. Self-refinement is a matter of mind and breathing resting on each other. This means that the mind rests on the breathing and the breathing rests on the mind. What is most important in this is harmony. Harmony is in balance, balance is in harmony. Are they one or two? The union of balance and harmony is called the go-between. Mind and breath, yi and qi. Mind and breath. To me, this is the same as yi and qi. Mind meaning that part of our consciousness which is not involved in discursive thought. It is the creative mind. Lao Tzu said, the single-minded energy is most supple, able to be like an infant. This is the perfection of true harmony. The master of the Jade Moon, a spiritual alchemist, said, when husband and wife meet in old age, their feelings are mutually affectionate. A classic says, tie them into one whole, mix them in one place, make them into one piece, force them in one furnace. I would wonder if a better translation might have been forge them in one furnace, rather than force them in one furnace. At least that's an understanding that I can relate to. The same classic also says, cow and bull go along with each other. Sun and moon are in the same place. Positive and negative charges merge. Metal and fire commingle. The reality behind all of these sayings is spirit and energy being together, which means mind and breathing being together. In Tai Chi practice, my interpretation, and I think that this is something that you may find other practitioners agree with, it's not mind and spirit, energy and spirit being together. It is energy and breath, mind and breathing activates spirit, Shen, spirit. It's not like spirit in terms of that part of us that we think of as soul or whatever, but spirit in terms of our charisma, our sense of well-being, our manifestation of that merging of yi and qi. Shen, Shen. Shines out of one's eyes and one's chi field, one's aura, spirit body, according to Sun Boyer. It is necessary to know spirit is essence, energy is life. This is what is meant by the classic saying, the root of essence rooted in mind, the stem of life stems from breathing. It is necessary to know that creative evolution only takes place when spirit and energy are joined into one. The joining of the two into one is the reversion of the two modes, yin and yang, back into one totality. This is called the twin cultivation of essence and life. So a lot of Taoist terms here. In our practice, what we want to do is have body, chi, mind, harmonious. One part moves, all parts move, activating Shen, spirit. Therefore, The twin cultivation of essence and life is a matter of keeping the mind and breathing together, not letting them separate even for a moment. Therefore, an ancient alchemist said that, quote, firing the medicine to produce the elixir, unquote, means driving energy by spirit, thereby attaining the Tao. In daily practice, it is essential to embrace the breathing steadily with the mind and embrace the mind steadily with the breathing. When you have done this for a time, once you reach even balance, you naturally become very stable and concentrated. You plunge into a profound trance where there is no sky and no earth, where you forget about everything, including your own body. This is in seated meditation. However, it can also be experienced in moving practice. It happens once in a while. You only need to touch on it a little bit. This stage is the experience referred to by the classic saying, quote, knowing the white, keep the black, and illumination of spirit will come of itself, unquote. You seem to feel body and mind revitalized and supple with unusual buoyancy and well-being. At the end of performing your Tai Chi practice, that's how you should feel. Buoyancy. Well-being. Shen. Well-being. Shen. One alchemist said that in this state you were like someone without the power of speech eating honey, unable to tell of its sweetness. Another alchemist said, almost imperceptible, the first transformation of yin and yang, heaven and earth, full of living energy, suddenly revolved. Therein is a bit of fine scenery. And how can this work be put into words? This time is what is known as, quote, the one primordial energy coming from the void of space. As one alchemist said, the winter solstice is midnight, where you find the celestial mind has no change, where creative energy first stirs before myriad things are born. This is what is referred to in alchemical texts as living midnight. One alchemist said of this, quote, gather energy quickly when winter comes, unquote. Another said, quote, gathering means gathering without trying to gather, which means splitting open the primordial indefinite, unquote. Cryptic metaphors, huh? This splitting open the primordial indefinite refers to the time of ultimate emptiness and perfect quietude. To empty oneself to the ultimate extent and preserve quietude to perfection is known as returning to earth, the spiritually receptive mode. Earth, the receptive, is associated with the southwest. It is known as the region where the medicine is produced, the land of primordial non-differentiation, and the opening of the mysterious female. An alchemist called Seeker of the Fundamentals said, quote, if you want to look for the primordial seed of realization, you must seek out undifferentiated wholeness to set up the foundation. Understanding Reality, the classic of spiritual alchemy, says, quote, if you want to attain the immortality of the open spirit, you must set the foundation on the mysterious female. Once the foundation is set up, the open spirit does not die. Then how can the person die? Unquote. As we know that the end game in Taoism was to become immortal. And, it's in this book here that women used to practice in, because they weren't supposed to practice Taoism in ancient China. They would practice in secret. And the only way that their husbands knew that they had attained was one day they would get up and they would find the shoes standing in the doorway empty and the wife gone. going to the other shore. The aforementioned self-refinement, setting up the foundation, and gathering the great primal medicine are all the same for men and women. Therefore, it is, all the same for men and women. So when we're doing our Tai Chi form, it's all the same for men and women. There's some differentiation here we'll come to, but that's only a beginning point, and it may not even be applicable with our understanding of the oneness of male and female nowadays. Therefore, it is said, quote, the great way does not make distinction between men and women, yin and yang in their various combinations are all the same, unquote. After this, I'll talk more about temporal difference. That is, the author of this treatise is saying, after this, I'll talk more about temporal difference. In his Secret of Feminine Alchemy, Liu Yiming says, quote, there is a true secret about starting practice. The operation is as different for men and women as sky from sea. The principle for men is refinement of energy. The expedient for women is refinement of the body, unquote. In the beginning, it's Taoism, folks. Men begin practice with the attention in the lower abdomen, just below the navel. Women start work with the attention between the breasts. Immortal Sister Zhang, one of the great Taoist women, was initiated long ago by Lu Yan, one of the ancestors of spiritual alchemy. Lu told her, quote, after midnight and before noon, settle the breathing and sit. As the energy passes through the mid-spine and on through the brain, gaining the power of energy, contemplate the self. As the energy passes through the mid-spine and on through the brain, gaining the power of energy, contemplate the self. Lu also said, quote, you must find the ancestor of your own house. Thunder in the earth rumbles, setting in motion rain on the mountain. Wait until washing, and the yellow sprouts emerge from earth. Grab the golden essence of vitality and lock it up tightly. Fire, metal, and wood to produce the dragon and tiger. Taoist metaphors. In general, it is necessary to refine oneself thoroughly before one will have autonomy. Also, one must take the positive energy of heaven and earth day after day and concentrate to clear the mind hour after hour before the effects of the practice will be experienced. It may take 1 or 2 months, or perhaps 3 or 4 months. The length of time depends only on the depth of one's work. So we're talking about Taoist practice here. We're not talking about Tai Chi. Maybe something that you are doing, meditation may or may not be applicable to you. But this is just information in order to help us to bring about the reality of Yi, Qi, and Shen, manifesting them while we are moving in our Tai Chi form. To continue. While carrying out the work, it may happen that women feel there is energy in the opening between the breasts that thrusts out, divides, and goes into the breasts, right through to the nipples, which then erect. This is what alchemical classics call the living midnight, when the medicine is produced. One alchemist said, quote, suddenly at midnight there's a peal of thunder and 10,000 doors, 1,000 gates, open one after another. If you perceive that there is form within nothingness, I will admit that you have seen the original human being in person, whatever that means. When the work reaches this point, the 100 energy channels in the body are in harmony, while their critical apertures, the passes where energy can accumulate, are all opened. In truth, one pulse feels the chest. All is spring. Now to explain Lu Yan's initiatory statements to immortal sister Zhang, quote, after midnight and before noon, unquote, refers to the fact that the midnight hour is best for finding reality. People who practice quiet sitting usually do it late at night or early in the morning. To, quote, settle the breathing, unquote, means to tune the breath so that it is even. In sitting, two people sit with unified attention placed between them. With mutual concentration, pure attention is embraced. With pure attention in the center, a unified energy flows, thus pressing tightly on the mid-spine and going on through the brain. This is what is referred to as the reversal of the yellow river, meaning the opening of the spinal energy channel. Quote, gaining energy, contemplate the self, unquote. The self here is a metaphor for pure, positive energy, and the self has been refined into an incorruptible immortal of absolute unity. This is what alchemical texts classics refer to as absolute unity containing true energy. So he's explaining all of this metaphorical language that the Taoists use here. And this is only indicators for us to help us with our imaginative capacity when we're performing Tai Chi. So it may or may not be of interest to anybody who takes the time to watch this. However, anything that helps us to create this greater sense of health and well-being when we are doing our Tai Chi practice. That's why I'm taking the time to do this. We breathe as we're moving. We exhale, moving outward, and we inhale, moving inward. We quiet the discursive mind. We turn to the Yi mind. Do not allow ourselves to be caught up in thought. Once in a while, you just find that you've gone through 5 or 6 movements and you have no idea that you passed through them. And suddenly consciousness comes again. This is true practice of Tai Chi. Find the ancestor of your own house, unquote, means seeking out the very beginning of the living body, receiving energy, finding the primordial point of original generative energy. Living body receiving energy, finding the primordial point of original generative energy. Original generative energy is that which is given to us as natal energy. But we use our natal energy as we go through life. When the natal energy is expended, then that's the time, as they say, we go back to the great Tao. So the generative energy is when we are drawing energy into our body and replenishing that natal chi. Thunder in the earth rumbles, setting in motion rain on the mountain. Quote, thunder in the earth rumbles, setting in motion rain on the mountain, unquote. This is the same as the saying, quote, the white clouds pay court to the palace on high, ambrosia pours on the polar mountain, unquote. Quote, wait until washing and the yellow sprouts emerge from earth, unquote. Waiting means waiting for the right time. Washing means washing the mind and refining oneself. This is what is meant by the alchemical term perfumed steaming. As for yellow sprouts, yellow is the color of earth. Sprouts are the life potential. Emerging from earth means that the experience is like when myriad things grow in spring and the whole earth is renewed. Emerging from earth means that the experience is like when myriad things grow in spring and the whole earth is renewed. That's how we should feel at the end of our 20 or 30 minutes of Tai Chi practice. At this time, the positive energy goes all the way to heaven in the form of a fiercely blazing fire resembling flaming wind. Quickly gather it up and send it into the central chamber in the center of the torso. This is why Lu Yan said, grab the golden essence and lock it up tightly. Another alchemist said, quote, hold the golden essence fast, draw it carefully on, send it into the field of elixir, unquote. So if we feel something we want to turn our attention to, focus our attention there. That's going to fix it. That is, fix it as in make it adamant. You want to make that feeling adamant. To sum up, as for fire, metal, and wood to produce the dragon and tiger, this refers to the perfection of the sense and essence of consciousness, the first sprouting of the Tao. To sum up, it is just a matter of having people draw their attention to the inner sense of the real mind, carrying the work through the natural cycle. The dragon and tiger mean the ascent and descent of bipolar energy. If you work diligently, as one alchemist said, quote, when that one point of energy returns of itself and sinks into the body, it turns into year-round spring. A bit of white cloud brings a waft of fragrance. Each time the rain passes, all is refreshed. Unconscious like a drunkard all day long, free and at ease, just keep the spring within the hollow. When the essence of negativity throughout the body has been stripped away, when the essence of negativity throughout the body has been stripped away, it turns into a mass of pure, positive gold. Sometimes when we do the clearing move in Qigong, we use the phrase, release anything that is no, leaving behind only yes. Thus, when the essence of negativity throughout the body has been stripped away, it turns into a mass of pure positive gold. The work after this is the same for women as for men. Overall, in the secrets of the spiritual alchemy for women, these words alone should be the quickest route. Lu Yan did not hoard his celestial treasure, but divulged it all at once. It is a pity that people do not recognize it. Yet, it should be realized that expressions such as, quote, below the navel and between the breasts are both representational. Do not look for them as having physical form. See? A classic says, clinging to this body is not the way. Shunning this body is also wrong. It is also said, the whole body, inside and out, is all dark. It is also said, looking right before your eyes, you don't recognize the real, much less what is important therein. The developmental process is subtle and necessitates personal transmission and mental reception from a true teacher. Only when you have understood it do you have a place to start. An alchemist said, how can the personal transmission be explained on paper? Do not mislead yourself by blind guesswork. So my hope is that if you were able to listen to this all the way through, that there some helpful hints here. In the end, cleave to simplicity. Cleave to simplicity. That's what Lao Tzu says the uncarved block. If you look in Lao Tzu, you will find references to the uncarved block. Simplicity. Not dividing the self into parts, not dividing the mind into parts. In the end, it's all one mind. It's all consciousness. Even though there's different capacities of consciousness, it's still consciousness. So we use the different capacities. What I'm hoping is that for our purposes, if you are a Tai Chi practitioner, that during the time when you are moving, do not allow yourself to get caught up in discursive thought. Focus on breath, on movement, on relaxation, release of tension, so that the tendons, muscles, ligaments all work harmoniously and in tandem with the breath and with the yi, And then this combines into a whole, which allows you to grow your health, your well-being, your practice, and ultimately yourself.